one away from 40. It's episode 39 of the Single Barrel Sports Podcast. We're back. My name's Deeb.
My name is Scott.
Let's get into it.
Pat McAfee said today we got our guy.
How many sixth graders would it take to beat LeBron James in a game? Ready for the ultimate sleepers?
Shedeur Sanders went number 144 in the draft. Well, Deeb, welcome home. You are back just in time. It is episode 39. Like you said, we're so close to 40. Got a lot of sports headlines to talk about. Once again, big football weekend. It just seems like everything is fairly unpredictable this year across the board. So let's dive in. But of course, before we do that, how you doing, man? It's been a couple of weeks that we haven't had you on here. What you been up to and how's things going?
Yeah, I know. I feel like I'm becoming a guest, from time to time on the podcast. But no, I appreciate the coverage. I know you guys had a fun episode last week with some fantasy football, and was excited to hear about that because I know we're certainly deep into the NFL season. Things have been pretty good overall. Busy. I think I don't even remember if I mentioned this on the pod or not, but got a new job. So have been doing some travel for that, some exciting stuff going on, and just kind of getting acclimated. But I was actually on vacation last week. It was a pre-planned vacation prior to getting the new job. So we were up in Alberta, Canada, which is very random if you think about it. But there's a little spot there called Banff that some people may have heard of, which is probably one of the most beautiful places that I think I have ever seen and maybe that exists. So super highly recommend it for anybody out there that is just looking for somewhere beautiful. Tons of, hiking opportunities. You can kind of pick and choose. It doesn't have to be anything too hard. We actually went with my in-laws, and so we didn't do anything too crazy in terms of hiking, but we were able to just still do some kind of mild or softer hiking and see some really, really cool stuff. So it's been awesome, man. I definitely had a wonderful time, but excited to be back and to talk sports.
Hell yeah, man. And I saw some of the pictures, looked phenomenal. I know Raven has talked about Banff before as well, and definitely something I think at some point we will get our booties up to as well because it is just amazingly beautiful. You are correct.
Yeah. Yeah. What's
While you were
going on with
gone, we
you?
just holding down the fort, man. It's been busy. Don't even know how many hours I worked last week, but it was much more than 40. Probably like 60 or 70, and still doing
Oof.
the family time and hanging with the kiddo on top of that. So, we have those weeks occasionally. Thankful that they don't happen all the time. And it was all good. Everything was fine. Had a really good weekend. Got to watch some sports, but a really good balance, I think, of kind of spending some quality time with Raven this weekend, some quality time with Parker, getting out of the house, being outdoors a little bit. And yeah, just a really well rounded weekend that kind of got me a little bit recharged. I'm still kind of catching up from a lot of lack of sleep, but honestly, everything's good, man. Feeling blessed, feeling loved.
Yeah. It's always really tough when you have those, weeks where you put in a lot of extra hours, especially with work. And then like you said, family stuff. So I know the minutes, it's not even hours. The minutes are important, right? Every minute
Oh yeah.
you gotta make the most of trying to get rest or trying to do your next, whatever the next thing is on the list. So
Yeah, and speaking of that, I will say that our loyalists that are listening and hanging out every week, you may have noticed there wasn't quite as much short form content that went out last week. Not as many clips. We didn't have a lot of side videos, and that is just because of the sad reality that not every week we can devote as much time to this as others. Deep out of town, me working extra time, and we will have some more content this week and moving forward. And we appreciate that everyone does kind of catch up and hang out with us on the short form as well. But for now, we have a really nice episode planned, and I hope everyone enjoys the football talk again.
hell yeah. So before we get kick started, if you've seen the show before, you know the deal. We like to just do a real quick promo about where to find us. So singlebarrelsports.com, very simple as long as you spell it correctly. You'll be able to access full episodes, YouTube and Spotify. And then we are on all social media platforms. So pretty much pick your favorite and check it out, and you'll see something from us on one of those platforms out there. And if you are on YouTube or Spotify, if you could hit the subscribe or follow button or give us a 5-star rating, it means a lot to us. We're trying to get to 200 subscribers by the end of the year. We got a little bit of time left and we're almost like 30 away from that. So we're getting real close and we really appreciate the support for that. Scott, what about our hats? Where can people find the merch?
Yeah, if you guys have paid attention to the hats we're wearing, we do have some merch, t-shirts, stickers, polos, all kinds of stuff out there. And you can also find a link to our merch store at singlebarrelsports.com. It usually, I think, is the very last link on the page there. But check it out. We're going to be updating it soon. And so if you looked at it once, you've only looked at it once, and we'll have some new products out very shortly.
Hell yeah. You ready to talk sports?
Let's dive into the sports, man. You know what time it is.
All right. So I'm trying to keep us honest here. We've been covering a lot of football. We covered a little bit of golf with Ryder Cup, but going back to golf with our sports term of the week. So for this week, it is fried egg. Have you ever heard of a fried egg, Scott?
Only at the breakfast table.
I was going to say it's not what you order at the diner. It could be, but what we're referring to here is not that. It's related to golf. So this is an interesting one. I had never really come across this term until I started playing golf a little bit more regularly. And basically, it's when you hit a ball into a sand trap and the ball basically becomes partially buried. So you can only see like the
Mm.
top half of the ball. So it kind of looks like what you'd imagine as like a fried egg. And it's kind of like the yolk part, the white part of the egg that's sitting out in the sand. So sometimes it happens and you might be thinking of like, well, why would you ever have a fried egg in the sand? Basically, when you hit like a high shot, if you got like a steep, kind of vertical angle, you're trying to get it on the green or whatever, as in that's coming down, sometimes it just like hits and just digs into the sand or gets, kind of buried in there. The other thing is sometimes if you have sand, like if it rained or the sand is potentially kind of like wet or they call it like fluffy, you can actually that can cause the ball to basically get stuck in there as well.
Hmm.
So it's weird because under the rules of golf it's not technically an embedded ball. What that means is like you can't get a free drop, right? There's certain scenarios where your ball lands you can get a free drop from it, so you actually
Mhm.
have to play this out of the sand that's in a weird position. And some people might this might sound familiar, but basically how you want to play it or what's recommended is you want to make sure to keep your club face square. So you don't really want to open it up. Like you don't want the club face to be open. That's
Okay.
a lot of the times when you're playing in certain sand positions, they tell you to open the club face. But because it's so buried, you actually want to be able to like dig into the ball when you hit it. And so you just got to hit kind of hard down a couple inches behind it and just really try to get it out of there. So
Hmm.
the last thing I'll mention is, I always like to look up like where the heck did this term come from, right? Because it's like we're talking about like diner food and breakfast, but as from what I found, it dates back to early days of golf, and basically, the lore is that players noticed how the ball's imprint in the sand looked like a fried egg in a skillet, and the ball was the yolk, and so it's not really like there's not like a single person or golfer it's credited to, so you can't point back and be like, it was like Arnold Palmer or something, but basically, it started appearing in like the 1930s and the
Hmm.
1950s in writing, and so that's kind of where the concept came from. So
Interesting. I mean, I guess I can literally visualize it. So I suppose that makes sense. The way you just described that.
yeah, so very very
Hmm.
random, but one of that I thought was interesting, and I was like, kind of getting hungry thinking about fried eggs, but maybe we can talk about it on the pod.
You know what? I also would love some fried eggs. I could crush some fried eggs right now. Big egg guy here. Love eggs.
Big egg guy. Remember when I used to make egg sandwiches and call them egg sluts?
Oh, I remember. Yep. I could go for an egg slut right now.
Yeah, based on there's a famous place in Vegas called Egg Slut, by the way. That's where that concept came from. But all right, let's get into some weekly recap.
Let's do it, man. What do you
So
got for me?
let's start with, I think, one of the most anticipated pieces of story that happened this week and just happened actually today of the recording on Tuesday, but had a lot of hype behind it. I know we were group chat texting about it, but Scott, there was an event that happened with your boy LeBron James. So tell us about what happened there.
All right. Listen, I have always been LeBron's, I won't say biggest fan. I don't think that's true, but a big fan of LeBron James. Always defended his every move, gave him the respect that I think he deserves as the GOAT of basketball. But man, sometimes he does some shit where I'm just like, what are you doing, man? Like what? And there's been plenty of those over time, right? Like he clearly wants to be and is celebrity status and is wants to be larger than basketball, which he is. But obviously, the decision that he did, when he went to Miami, that was a big thing that happened way back, whatever. I mean, that was over a decade ago, at this
Yep.
point. And that was a huge ordeal, right? There were people that hated him for it, people that loved it, people thought it was overly dramatic, people that thought it was amazing for the sport of basketball. It was very polarizing. And whatever, man. Like at the time, I still feel like that was kind of corny and almost a little bit of a little ego because there's all these players in the league that are all also superstars and to have this whole like decision and do this whole dramatics like whatever. But at least that related to the freaking game of basketball. Yesterday on Monday, he put out a tweet saying something like, like the decision of all decisions is occurring tomorrow with this dramatic video of him walking up to a chair and sitting down for what looks like an interview.
Mm.
Basically looking like the decision part 2. And if you guys haven't seen this, I know by the time this airs, it'll be a couple days. So maybe everyone's seen this already. But if you haven't seen this, just know that it's rage inducing. Okay. I'm a big LeBron James guy. I go in, I'm pumped, man. People are buying tickets. They're like, oh, LeBron James is either going to retire tomorrow or he's going to announce that this is his last season. People are buying up all these tickets for the Lakers' last home games. Prices are skyrocketing, like thousands of dollars all of a sudden because everyone thinks they're going to see LeBron James's final game. And then he comes in today. He posts this stupid ass video. He sits down. All the hype is there. Everyone's excited. And it's this corny ass video where all he's doing is talking about how he's taking his talents to Hennessy, not Tennessee. I'm not talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm talking about the literal alcoholic drink Hennessy. Had nothing to do with basketball. It was the corniest shit that I've ever seen. He was like, oh, blah, 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 this, start the party, have the tricks. Like, it's just a stupid ass commercial. It had nothing to do with basketball. All of this hype, all these people spending thousands of dollars. No one gives a shit about Hennessy, LeBron James. You got your brand deal. Who cares? Are you going to play basketball this year? How long are you going to play? What team are you going to play for? What are we doing? And I just have to say, dude, as a guy who has supported him his whole career and had his back, there's no defending today. I'm upset about it. If you can't tell, I was upset about it. It wasted my enthusiasm, which I am tired, as I mentioned, and I was very enthusiastically, passionately excited about this. Okay? This was corny, man. This was worse. This was more corny than something Drake would do. And that is saying a lot in the year 2025. And so let me just say, LeBron James, king, focus on the game of basketball, get back to the roots. Let's figure out what the hell we're doing this year. Get you another championship and stop doing this stupid shit.
All right. Well, I don't even know if I have to say anything, honestly, after that. Um, well, I mean, I definitely thought it was going to be either he was retiring or he's going to some other team for his final year or something like that, right? Like, I think that's probably what most people, if you asked, I think they ran a Twitter poll or something, that's probably what most people would answer. But it was very corny just for the fact too that, like, they used the same exact script. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
the reporter asked him or he said the same exact words, word for word, that they had years ago, and LeBron used the same exact words leading up to him saying, what he was doing, and then, like, when you heard that it was Hennessy, it was just, like, such a just, like, "What?" Like, it was just so I don't know, like, it was so random. You're just like, "Why did I just waste my time watching this?"
Dude, I saw a post on Twitter before I saw the actual video that was like all of that, and it was just a Hennessy ad. And I was like, dude, if this is talking about LeBron James, I am going to be pissed. And then so I watched the video and I was just like, unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, The other thing I'll mention, this is kind of off script, but I did watch the Nelk boys had a interview with Skip Bayless, and obviously I know Skip Bayless is a controversial guy, but he spent like 25 minutes talking about LeBron because they were like arguing and debating with him back and forth about, why do you hate LeBron, or what, why do you like shit on him and blah blah blah. And I mean, he talks about like that he doesn't hate him, like he doesn't hate him as a person. He gives all these examples, like, and he has like a very he I'll give him this, he has a very good memory. Like he can tell you the exact year, the exact game, and what LeBron did in that game and why, like he can rattle stuff off in terms of like, here's my example of why, or here, another guy would have did this. So I'll give him credit. I mean, if you don't agree with him, that's okay. But it's a
Mhm.
pretty interesting one to kind of just hear him talk back and forth with some people about.
I've seen some of that. I don't think I've seen the full episode or the full interview, but I've seen some of his takes, and I appreciate his consistency with his stance.
Yeah,
We'll leave it at that because we could debate LeBron all day long, but today LeBron disappointed everybody, even the LeBron fans.
not Hennessy.
Great marketing for Hennessy, really
Yeah.
incredible marketing for Hennessy, but like, what are we doing, man? What are we doing?
Oh man. All right. Well, in other news, we had just a couple of things that happened in college football this past weekend. So we'll just go through these and I just kind of gonna want to get reactions. But Texas lost to Florida 29-21, and they are now unranked, Scott, after starting the season ranked number one. So the question is what the heck's going on with Texas, and was Arch super overrated?
That yes, there's no other answers to that question. And I will tell you, and I said this on the podcast after their first game, his throwing mechanics had me worried. Watching, not even about how the ball is caught or received, just watching the way he throws the football tells me all I need to know, that this is not the superstar we think that he is. His mechanics will not allow him to succeed at a higher level. And they've gotten bullied by some bigger teams, or some better teams, I should say. I wouldn't even say Florida is that great. I mean, Florida is a good team, but they're not amazing this year. But even with that said, I had a thought that they could beat Texas, and that's all you need to know. Texas is overrated, overhyped. We would never be talking about this team if there wasn't a man named Manning playing quarterback there.
Yeah, and it is pretty surprising. I mean, again, like I think some of the if you put the pieces together, the fact that he, didn't beat out Quinn Ewers. I mean, Quinn Ewers was okay. I don't think he was. I think eventually we found out he maybe wasn't as great as what people were thinking initially. I don't think he was a bad quarterback. I mean, he led them to the playoff and he did what he needed to do. But I
Mhm.
think there was some signs there, at least. There was some writing on the wall ahead of time of like, what's really going on here? Like, is Quinn Ewers that much better than Arch, or is Arch just young? Is he not ready? And then I've also seen a lot of videos of people showing all the different high schools that he played against, and they were like, well, as you can tell here, Arch didn't really play against a lot of great competition in high school. So, like, he also looked pretty good in high school, but he may not have been playing like what some of these other Texas high school quarterbacks they go against.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's very interesting. I don't necessarily know that he's horrible or that I've given up that like he's going to be a terrible quarterback. I just think he needs to develop. Like he just going to take him, probably a year or two or whatever he has left to maybe become a reasonable quarterback.
I was gonna say the exact same thing actually. I don't I So yes, he's overhyped for the year 2025. And yes, Texas is cooked this season. You can't fix this right now. But this man has all of the all of the resources humanly possible that can help him to be a success, even just within his own family. But they all have their own connections too. I'm thinking maybe you have a disappointing year when you were supposed to be the Heisman. You're not even in the talks. You're not even in the talks for the playoffs or the conference. Like you have pretty much lost all of the hype at this point. So you start the development now. You get the experience, and then you stay quiet and you work hard and you work on the fundamentals in the offseason. He still has time left. We could see a totally different Arch Manning next year, but I am definitely writing him off for this year. I think there's too many things that need to be fixed, and it starts with the actual mechanics of throwing a football. He's got to get his elbow up. it hurts me as someone who played the position. It actually hurts my arm to watch him throw with how he throws the ball, and I don't think you can sustain a career by throwing the ball that way. Let alone
Yeah.
you can't throw it over the middle over an offensive line when your elbow is that low because the ball comes out at such a low height already. So that's my critique as just a random podcaster sitting in a computer chair. But his career's not over, but his season is.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I'll be curious to see how the rest of the season goes, and then yeah, just kind of what happens after this. The other big one though is that Penn State lost 2 weeks in a row, and this time, Scott, to an unranked and winless at the time UCLA, 42-37, and so Penn State is also now unranked, Scott. Your mother trucking pick to win the Big Ten, and maybe even more. So let's hear it from you. What's going on?
Well, as I have been informed of repeatedly, in excess of hundreds and hundreds of comments on TikTok. Thank you all. You're right. I deserved it. I was very wrong about this pick. For some reason, I thought that Franklin could finally win a big game as a head coach, and maybe when I made this pick, also when I made this pick was in the offseason still when I said that Penn State would win the conference, and I doubled down on it. And I thought Drew Aller would look better than he has. He has not looked anything better than an average college football quarterback in a Big Ten conference. And so, no, I was dead wrong. Penn State does not look like the team I thought they were. Losing to Oregon in double overtime is not a horrible thing to have happen. Oregon is a great football team. Losing to UCLA, it looks a whole lot worse. And losing 2 games in a row deflates any momentum that they had built up, starting to look like once again maybe an overhyped offseason team that didn't translate into actual in-season success. And I will own that I was wrong. Thank you all for reminding me.
Well, thank you for owning up to it at least and not pushing it off. But here's kind of some of the notes though that I didn't watch the UCLA game, so I can't really comment on that. The Oregon game I was watching from Canada. Um, I thought it was a pretty good game. I personally thought that Oregon very much controlled that game up until like the fourth quarter whenever Penn State went on their run within like it was like there was like 10 minutes left in the game. To that point, number one, I was surprised because Oregon like destroyed them in the run game. Like they shut down what Penn State is known for. They got two, great running backs, a great offensive line. They shut it down. They won in the trenches. So
Hmm.
at that point I was like, okay, either Oregon's really good, that they're the team and they're going to win this game, or Penn State is maybe just not as good. Then when Penn State kind of kicked it back and they had that comeback at the end, I was like, oh shit, like maybe Penn State is good. So but I also know that it is hard to shut down a team for 4 quarters, right? Like that is not an easy task, especially a team that is reasonably talented. Like I don't think Penn State's a horrible team. They have no talent. When they lost that game, I was like, okay, like whatever. This UCLA game is very, very surprising. I'm not going to lie. But
Hmm.
I also don't know that they've recovered from that Oregon loss, according to some of the stuff I've been reading and seeing. Like emotionally, I'm not sure that, losing at home in the whiteout, that is a tough loss to
Yeah.
take. So I'm actually not counting Penn State out for the entire year. I do think there is a slight chance, Scott, that they may potentially still get into the playoff if they make a run, if they somehow hang in there with an Ohio State team. It's a very slim, very slim, very slim chance. I don't think it's, like, hey, yes, they're going to. But just remember, I mean, last year, Ohio State did not go to the Big Ten championship, snuck in kind of a little bit at the end, and then ended up winning the national championship. So never say never.
I'm going to say never. Penn State still has to go through playing in Ohio State against Ohio State. No
Yeah.
easy feat. They have to follow that game up by playing against a number 7 ranked Indiana. And they still have Nebraska ahead of them, which is still a pretty decent team. I don't think they have a chance in the world of making the playoffs this season, but I
Yeah.
guess I've been wrong with some of my college predictions lately, so who knows?
Well, we're going to see though if Indiana is really a real good team this coming weekend, because
This week, yep.
I am curious if they are legit, or they're kind of like what happened last year where they were pretty legit but they couldn't win, some of the bigger games. So,
Well, they beat the absolute shit out of Illinois, so that's a good starter.
yeah. Also, like, again, Illinois is one of those teams where I always go, are they that good? Or, I mean, I'm not saying they're bad, but like, are they that good or are they pretty good?
Yeah,
So,
I'm also wondering that question myself.
so NFL news. Last night, really, really great game. I actually watched this game. I don't know if you saw it or not, Scott. Jags took down the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Did you see the last series where Trevor Lawrence essentially fell down, tripped off the lineman? I don't know how the hell he got up, but somehow got up, looked like he, was running to the bathroom like he had diarrhea and ran into the end zone to score, basically to win the game, essentially at the end.
The most Trevor Lawrence touchdown of all time. I mean, that is literally Trevor Lawrence football right there. It shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have worked, and yet somehow they end up winning the game and
Yeah.
shocking the world. I don't think many people had the Jags beating the Chiefs yesterday. However, you know, again, it's been a very unpredictable year so far. The Chiefs are what, 2-3? Like,
Yeah.
what the hell? What? Like, how?
Yep. Yeah. And it was Trevor Lawrence's birthday. So they gave him a little birthday cake after the game.
Yeah, and all I will say is that I am still not a believer of Trevor Lawrence. But hey, man, you get knocked down, you get up again, and that's he did that twice because he actually tripped over his own feet twice on that play. He tried to stand up, fell again, and then did stand up, and then he actually semi broke a tackle. I mean, there was a
Yeah.
guy who dove at his feet who he kind of got out of, and it just the weirdest shit, man. Just the weirdest shit. I don't know if you saw. This is going off topic here, but this is also in the same weekend that the Titans beat the Cardinals on one of the weirdest plays I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. I saw that.
And it goes to show you, man, like any given week, any given Sunday, as the movie is called, and any time a team can beat another team, and we're seeing a lot of that this season. But for those who haven't seen how the Cardinals game ended, the Cardinals were up by a lot. Then they had a guy who was returning a punt for a touchdown who dropped it before he crossed the goal line, so they turned the ball over instead of scoring. And then later in the game, the Titans threw an interception. The guy who intercepted it fumbled it into the end zone where a Titans player landed on it for a touchdown after they had an interception on that exact same play.
Wild.
I mean, you just can't make this up. It's just kind of bizarre, crazy shit happening in football, and it's happening pretty much every week lately. But
Yeah.
I guess it's been exciting, man, because you just never know.
Yeah. Well, and the Jags are 4-1, so got to note that. But Scott, the Ravens are off to a 1-4 start. You still have them winning the Super Bowl.
Okay, I'm gonna start with this because yes, I had a pretty good stance on the Ravens this year, but so did everybody else. Okay, nobody in their actual sane mind would have said the Ravens would be 1-4 to start this season. I do think the Ravens have a chance still. They've got to climb out of a pit. Lamar Jackson hurt didn't help last week. They got smoked by the Texans. Lamar Jackson doubtful again this week, so they could be 1-5. Who knows? Who knows what it's going to look like? They play against the Rams, not an easy team to go against. So yeah, they may be 1-5, but what I do know is if you look up on the sports books right now, some of them still have the Ravens as the favorite to win the AFC North, even though they're 1-4 right now.
Wow.
And the ones who have them not winning it have them in second place, just right behind the Steelers. And so anything could happen. The Ravens are benefiting from being in the AFC North where the Browns and the Bengals suck. And the Steelers are a winning team, but they don't really look great. They're just kind of getting by. I'm not writing this off, but this prediction of them winning the Super Bowl looks pretty bad right now.
Yeah. And, I it may seem like I'm just this beginning party's here, me just calling you out about everything, but that's not the point, right? I think
Cook me.
it goes along with just number one. I think I was just shocked that the Ravens are 1-4. So I had to bring it up because I know you had predicted them in a previous episode, but I am also, I mean, after that, was it week one when they played the Bills? That
Yeah.
was like a crazy competitive game.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never guessed from that game that they would be 1-4 right now.
It's
Watching that
insane.
game, I was like, "This is incredible." Like, both of these teams are gonna be in the playoffs and probably deep in the playoffs, and they still could be. We'll see.
And I will say that I think Lamar actually got hurt during like either the Browns or Lions game. It kind of seemed like he was dealing with an injury for a
Yeah.
couple of games before they pulled him against the Chiefs and then obviously sat him in the Texans. So Maybe he doesn't play this week against the Rams. Then they go on the bye. It gives him 2 more weeks to heal. And then they come back and they play the Bears and then the Dolphins back to back. Those are 2 wins in my mind.
Yeah.
So who knows what happens moving forward here? But certainly they have an uphill battle ahead of them.
Yeah,
And they're
for
going to need to
sure.
beat the Steelers every time they play them this year to have a chance at coming back.
Yep, for sure. And then the last one we had for the weekly recap was Bengals acquiring Joe Flacco from the Browns to fill in for an injured Joe Burrow. And number one, a reaction to that. And number two, Scott, Dylan Gabriel starting over Shadur Sanders, who, wait a second, is now the number 2 quarterback after the Flacco trade on the roster. Are we going to get to see a Shadur starter this year?
Okay, I will start with your first point first. There's a certain word I try not to say on this podcast, and there's only really one of them. And typically you say the words "what the" right before you say that word. This is one of those moments. What are we doing? Like, yes, no, Browning has not played well for the Bengals. The Bengals have a shitty offensive line. They can't get going because they have a bad quarterback playing behind an even worse offensive line. The solution to get the 40-year-old Joe Flacco, who just got benched on another team for the second year in a row, third year, fourth year in a row, I don't know. I mean, this dude literally only comes into play so that rookies can develop under him, and then he gets benched for like the last 3 or 4 years. He's 40 years old. He doesn't move. He can't move. You're going to put Joe Flacco behind that offensive line when he can't move and he can't play football anymore? And you're going to expect a better outcome? This was the best you could do? Absolute insanity.
I'm dying.
What are we doing? I mean, you are wasting away Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown. You're wasting away this offense by spending too much money on just a few players, having a ridiculously bad offensive line, a bad defense, and you bring in Joe Flacco. What are your thoughts on that, dude? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm just dying. I know your reaction. Well, they missed their Joe, so they tried to replace him with another Joe.
Oh,
Just a little a little older and a little more Flacco'd. I don't know.
you know what?
I think
Maybe that's what the GM said. We just need another Joe.
yeah, I mean, here's the thing though, is like to your point, do they even have any money to get another quarterback? Like, I don't think they literally have enough money to get a good quarterback. So they're just like, well, we spent all of our money on these 4 players and one of them's hurt. So like, let's just get Joe Flacco. He's on clearance. He just got benched,
Bro, just imagine a world where they found a way to make it work, where they got Jameis Winston, and he could just go out there and be Jameis Winston with these elite receivers on a team, and just the magic that would be. It would either be like a touchdown or an interception on every drive, but it would be the most fun football to watch.
yeah. Well,
Joe Flacco, dude.
yeah, I mean, doesn't make much sense, but I think it's literally probably all they can afford. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I think they just don't have enough money, clearly, or something weird. But the only other thing I'll say is, think about too, like from a fantasy football perspective, how many people have picked Chase and Higgins and Jamar or Chase Brown and Jamar Chase. Like, remember a couple weeks ago or whatever, we were doing that like start, sit, drop, whatever. And I said to drop Chase Brown. I mean, not to say that his value goes down. Maybe his value is actually up because they don't have a quarterback, but
His
I
value
don't
is not
know,
up.
man.
It's not up at all.
Yeah, I'm like, is he
He did
looking more
score this
like
last week, but he's not performing it at Jamar Chase levels. And Chase
Yeah,
Brown isn't either, or T.
yeah.
Higgins.
Well, he doesn't have an offensive line,
Yeah, I mean, they're just not scoring enough points and moving the
so
football.
yeah. But
To your second point, yes, Shador Sanders is now second, which is a lot higher than fourth or fifth, what we saw just a month or two ago. It's kind of crazy how you trade away a couple of people and now all of a sudden he's one injury away from being a starting quarterback. And it is what it is, man. I don't know. I mean, I don't have a lot to say about it. I think that he's acting weird. I don't know what this whole like mime act is when he's in the locker room and why he's giving reporters the silent treatment. I just think the guy needs to stop with the theatrics, focus on the football, and he does have some talent. And when the moment comes, if he's been putting in the work and focusing in the right areas, then you go out and just leave it on the field. But Dylan
Yeah.
Gabriel, despite the fact they lost on a last second touchdown, Gabriel did what a young rookie should do in their first game, especially coming in midseason. He didn't make a ton of mistakes. He did a lot of checking the ball down, and he definitely rode the coattails of Quinshon Judkins. But he threw a couple touchdowns. He did what a quarterback needs to do in a close game. And I think that you see that as a Browns fan, you wish it was sexier, but it gives you some optimism too. I think that the team looked a little bit different. They looked
Yeah.
like they were gelling a little bit. So I don't know. I I hope that it works for Dylan Gabriel. I think that the guy, he's a likable enough guy, and I think he's doing the right things. But time will tell, man. I mean, it's the Cleveland Browns. That's where quarterbacks go to ruin their careers.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. I'm like, this could be. I don't know, but I'm definitely glad I drafted Quinshon Judkins when everyone was laughing at me when I did, and I was like, "All right, man, wait till the middle of the season when they have no one else, and they're just like, hey, we have Deshaun Watson at quarterback. We're gonna need some help here." Oh, but anyways, we'll see how comes out. But ready to talk a little bit of fantasy football. I know you guys did a ton last week, but we can do just a couple things here
Oh
to
yeah,
give
hot
people
topic this
some.
time of year for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So first one I want to do is waiver wire fire drill for this week. So what we're trying to do here is think through, for the kind of average fantasy football league, those people that are in those, 10 or 12 man leagues that are not necessarily dynasty, but more just kind of your typical, what I would call a traditional league. Going through some of the highest the positions, right? So we're going to do QB, running back, wide receiver, and flex, which really we mean like tight end basically for this. If there's two of these players available, Scott, we're going to kind of just go through and talk pros and cons of who do you pick up if you have someone on a buy, you're just kind of in a pinch, you absolutely need somebody off the waiver wire. There's maybe not a ton of depth available. Who are you going to pick up between a couple of the players that we have listed and why? And we're going to talk
Yeah.
about too, I got listed like the matchups that they have as well. So,
Okay. Yep.
um, you want to start? I'll give you the QB and you can kind of talk us through what your thoughts are.
Yeah. Let's dive in. What do we got here?
All right, so let's say you need a quarterback and you're looking at the waiver wire. It's kind of thin right now. A lot of people are hurt. A lot of starting quarterbacks are hurt, so we have even backups that are not doing so hot in some of the teams. But let's say in your league you had Sam Darnold facing Jacksonville or
Okay.
Bryce Young facing Dallas. Which one of those guys are you picking up in this scenario here?
That's actually harder than it might seem at surface level. Normally, I would say if you want a safe pick to just keep you competitive, Sam Darnold is going to be a safer. He's going to have a higher floor. If you watched last week, his bad games are going to be better than Bryce Young's bad games. The trick here is that Bryce Young is playing against the worst passing defense in the league, which is the
Yep.
Cowboys. They're literally ranked dead last. And I looked this up earlier. They've given up 18 passing touchdowns this season already in 5 games. So the potential for touchdowns is there. You've got Tet balling out, but I'm still kind of hit or miss on Bryce Young. Now they are coming off of a win. I still think Jacksonville's passing defense is not that great either. And I still think I would take Sam Darnold for the confidence that I'm at least going to get an average game. I feel like Bryce Young is too bang or bust, and Sam Darnold can still bang, but he's probably not going to bust quite as low. So give me Darnold.
That's fair. I had similar thoughts. I think for me, it's what are you looking for in the waiver wire pick? Are you looking for somebody that can just get you some points, like you have a pretty good wide receiver set or running back, so you got some consistent guys, or you're like, hey, I actually need somebody who could be, high ceiling here. If you're looking for high ceiling, I would probably pick up Bryce Young. I think versus the worst defense, he could go off. But if
Mhm.
you're looking for maybe more consistency, I'm picking up Sam Darnold, as you mentioned.
Yep, I think that's reasonable. Either one is serviceable.
Yeah.
Um, just consistency sometimes is comfortable. So
Yep. All right. Let's do running backs. So the two I have here are Hassan Haskins, if he's available, versus Miami, or Michael Carter from the Cardinals versus Indianapolis, which I know is a tough matchup defensive wise.
Yeah. You want me to go first or you?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is really tough. We don't really know anything about Haskins. He got a few carries at the end of the game last week after Hampton went out. I think Haskins might have been called up from the practice squad recently. I don't think that he's like even like a regular backup. Um, he's a Michigan boy though. We like that. We like that a lot. But Michael Carter played for Arizona last week and he got a touchdown. He does have a tough matchup with Indianapolis, but their run defense isn't super great. I think they're kind of middle of the road. I might go with Michael Carter here because I know that he at least can hit the end zone. My biggest concern with choosing Michael Carter here is that Indianapolis is going to kick their ass and you might not be running the ball a whole lot this game. But I don't know. My heart says go with what you know. The devil you know versus the one you don't. Give me Michael Carter here. I hope Haskins does well. Miami's not a great team, but I'm going with what I know here. Give me Carter.
Yeah, this one's not easy. You got a guy going against a tougher defense who maybe has a little more quote unquote uh, what you're going to get potentially. But you also have a guy that's playing a not so good defense and you don't know a lot about, which again, sometimes that's actually the scary ceiling where he could go off because maybe the defense doesn't really know a lot about him either. So same thing. I think it's situational, Scott. What do you need? Do you need maybe a little bit more of the consistency, or are you looking for more of a boom where you're like, ah, man, I got, two or three people on a buy, or I'm really struggling with the injuries right now.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on what that is, if you want a boom potential, maybe Haskins. If you want maybe more of a could get you 5 to 10 points, maybe Michael Carter's maybe more of a go-to. So that's I think how I reason through this.
Yeah, and I was a little bit unfair here because Carter also came off the practice squad. I forgot to mention that. So these
Yeah.
are two guys. I mean, this is the sad story of these two teams. They both have lost their first and second running backs to injuries. And so both of these teams have given a lot of opportunity for upcoming running backs. And
Yep.
who knows? What's next?
All right, wide receivers: Troy Franklin of Denver versus the Jets, or Alec Aomenor of Tennessee versus Las Vegas.
Oh, give me Iomanor. That is my guy. I picked him up in all of my fantasy leagues before he popped off because I liked that he became a starter before even week one started. Every year I try and pick one rookie that I kind of get high on and I go all in on. And he's scored a couple of times this year and he has gotten a consistent target outlook. Now he has had a couple of down weeks, but he's had a couple of decent weeks. Troy Franklin also looks good. He's a third string receiver. Ellick is a second string receiver. The Raiders defense is garbage. So even though the Titans aren't great, I think that I'm going with Ellick here, and I think he gets a touchdown this week.
Yeah, I think I agree mainly because of the matchup. I think Vegas, like you said, weaker, more potential for him. I mean, Tennessee has also been struggling, so that kind of makes me worry a little. But I think
Yeah,
I'm going based off the matchup here. Troy Franklin is less likely, I think, to get the ball, especially versus a mid-tier Jets defense. I think again, yeah, I would pick Alec as well in this matchup if that's what you're looking for.
yeah, and I think it's worth noting that these are actually pretty comparable defenses, but they've had wildly different schedules so far this year. So um, I feel more comfortable having a player that goes against the Raiders than the Jets.
Yeah, for sure. All right, last one. We're going to call this a flex position, but we have two tight ends that we're going to compare. So we could also just call it what it is, tight ends. So you have Jake Tongas, San Francisco tight end, filling in for Kittle versus Tampa Bay, or Mason Taylor, the tight end of the Jets, versus Denver.
Uh, well, I think Juwan Jennings might be back this week. So Tongas isn't going to get all those targets he got last week. Tongas has taken advantage of Kittle being out. Now, Kittle could come back this week, but he's doubtful. we're probably not going to see him until next week.
Yeah.
So both of these are very viable. And in fact, I think if you're on the bubble and you can get either of these guys, you should. However, there's a ton of momentum right now with Mason Taylor on the Jets. He's getting a lot of targets, and there's nothing else that's going well, really going right for that team. Garrett Wilson is getting a touchdown in garbage time each week, but Mason Taylor seems to be the guy that Justin Fields is comfortable throwing the ball to throughout the whole game. I don't care too much about the matchups usually when I make tight end picks. Denver is a really strong defense, but give me Mason Taylor.
Yeah, that's fair. I agree. I think the wide receiver situation in San Francisco definitely changes everything. So depending on who's playing or who's not, that Jake Tongus may or may not be as consistent. But yeah, I agree. I mean, looking at what Mason Taylor's been doing so far, I would probably pick him. I don't like the matchup though, but like you said, I mean, if he's comfortable throwing it, sometimes tight ends find a way to slip through those defenses, especially when they're tough defenses. So.
Yeah, and tight ends don't always get a lot of looks. So if you got one that's getting consistency, then I usually try to ride that wave.
So let me ask you this though, just as a real question, because I've been struggling with this. I have Travis Kelsey right now as my tight end, and he's been okay. Like he had a better game, I think, this past week, but I mean he's pretty mid. Like, is Mason Taylor a better pickup than Travis Kelsey, or do you say consistency of proven guy like Kelsey?
Yeah, I don't think so. And my reason for that is Kelsey's on an offense that scores points. The Jets, they some weeks they've scored points, but I feel a lot more comfortable starting the guy who's on the offense that scores points and is competitive. And to his credit, I think Kelsey's got maybe three touchdowns at least this year.
Yeah.
So he's scoring like every other game. I would definitely put my faith in a Patrick Mahomes led offense with Kelsey over a Justin Field led offense with Mason.
Yeah. Nope, that's fair. Very fair. And the Chiefs tend to get hot at the end of the year, so we'll see what happens with that. Um, all right, last thing we wanted to just run through quickly here was just a couple key injuries to remind people, and just make sure it's on your radar. Some of these are going to be, I think, pretty obvious, but we're trying to pick out like the well known players. So Lamar Jackson, from what we know, still got the hamstring injury. I think you had mentioned, Scott, that he's doubtful still for this week. Is that right?
Yep, he's doubtful for this week, and they have a bye next week. So I would actually be pretty surprised if he played. I think the only reason they might try to play him is because it's very unlikely they win this week without him against a really good Rams team. But hamstring injuries can linger. If you play him, he might not be good after the bye week. I think they'll sit him, and I think the Ravens will get whooped by the Rams, unfortunately.
Yeah. Brock Purdy, turf toe. It looks like he's probably still going to be out from what I'm reading. He had an MRI and all this stuff, so I don't know that he will play. But Mac Jones has been doing a reasonable job.
Mac Jones played on one leg for most of the game last week, and he just looked like a dude out there just giving his all, and they got the win in what I think was a mismanaged football game, but Mac Jones played well.
Your boy, Bucky Irving, unfortunately went down. Apparently, there's multiple injuries, Scott, a foot and a shoulder. So I think we heard about the foot or ankle or whatever it was, and then apparently he has a shoulder injury. Shoulder injury. It says he has been ruled out for the Seahawks game.
Hmm. Yeah, we won't
So
see him this week. We probably won't see him next week. And who really knows? Because it sounds like this shoulder injury wasn't really disclosed when it happened. So we don't even really know the extent of it yet. Rashad White stepping in. Rashad White had an amazing game this last weekend. So the
yeah.
Bucks, I think, will still be okay. Big bummer for my boy Bucky, who I said would be a top 3 fantasy football running back this year. Tough to do that if you miss multiple football games. So probably not going to hit that prediction because of it, maybe because of an injury, or maybe it wouldn't have happened anyway.
Big one, Omarion Hampton, the running back for the Chargers, has been placed on injured reserve due to an ankle injury. They said maybe at least 4 weeks or so. I don't know, maybe it could be longer than that, but that one's tough.
Right when he got hot, he got out, and that's very unfortunate for a rookie. But he's looking good, man. When he comes back, he'll be all right. I think they'll take care of him though and make sure he's ready to come back.
And then the last one, CD Lamb. So he's been out for a little bit. He has, I think it's like a high ankle sprain. Said he was ruled out for the Jets game, but he might potentially have another week or maybe a couple weeks, depending on what the ruling is. So keep an eye on that one, but it doesn't look like he may not be able to go this week.
Yeah, probably not. And, good for George Pickens owners, really bad for CeeDee Lamb owners.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into our fan favorites. So the interactive, we have three different segments tonight, and I'm excited for these. So Scott, for the first one, we're gonna do. It's called Back to the Future, revisiting our AI or Chat GPT predictions for our college football conference champions. So if you all remember, some of the listeners out there, and Scott, at the beginning of the season, episode 32, I believe, is where we ran a prompt through ChatGPT, essentially asking it who it thought would be the college football conference champions, who would make the playoff, and who would also win the national championship. So we're only going to cover conference championships today. But to give you all a reminder, this is who it predicted in episode 32 when we went over it. For the SEC, it predicted Georgia. For the Big Ten, it predicted Penn State. For the ACC, it was Clemson. And for the Big 12, it was Arizona State. So before we get into the next section, which is basically I asked it to revisit its picks and look at, what's happened and make new predictions. I wanted, number one, get your reaction, Scott, to the initial picks and what your thoughts were now looking at it.
Well, I think if you recall, I liked the initial picks, but if I recall, I'm pretty sure I said Miami would be the ACC team. I know that I also liked
Yep.
Florida State, but I think I chose Miami at the time, and I think I agreed with the rest of them. Obviously, Penn State's not going to win. Arizona State not looking super likely out there. Yeah, that's kind of where we're sitting with that. I mean, there's one that definitively changed, and one that still maybe has a chance, but unlikely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think Georgia's still viable right now in terms of SEC. I know they lost to Alabama, but they're definitely
Oh
still
yeah.
viable to
Well, I looked up
contend.
their betting odds just now, and Alabama is actually the favorite to win the SEC now, which is kind of crazy when they went down
Yeah.
week one, but they have looked good. Georgia and Ole Miss are kind of a mix for second and third, depending on which betting source you use. So they're still in the hunt, but it does hurt that they lost to Alabama, and they have to play each other. Ole Miss and Georgia will play each other,
Yeah.
and likely what you would think probably would define who plays in the championship game against Alabama if Alabama wins out. But there's a
Yeah.
lot of football left to play, so who knows?
Yep. Okay. So revisiting the predictions, Scott, here's what ChatGPT is thinking is going to happen moving forward. Big Ten, it now says Ohio State, elite defense, steady resume, and still favored to win the game and take Indy, which I know you disagree with. And you stated that obviously your hate for Ohio State in a previous episode, maybe many episodes. SEC, we have Texas A&M is actually who it's saying. They said unbeaten with top tier strength of record, marquee win at Notre Dame, manageable path versus LSU, and a few others.
That's reasonable.
ACC, it says Miami. So they have good wins over Notre Dame, UF, FSU, trending towards the title. And Big 12, it has Texas Tech. They're undefeated with road wins at Utah and Houston, and they have the best title odds in the ESPN model.
Yeah, they do. I mean, they are by far the highest betting odds to win that conference. It's not even close. And Arizona State is second. So I don't really disagree with them on any of these things other than the A&M. A&M does maybe have an easier route, but I gotta think it's going to be Georgia or Alabama still. With Alabama, I actually agree Alabama could be the favorite, but I think Georgia's not out of this quite yet. I don't think A&M's going to get it, but we'll see. I
Yeah, I
will
think
say though, I will concede this. I do think Ohio State's going to win the Big Ten, and I don't say that lightly. I think their schedule for the rest of this year is pretty easy. You could say Penn State is tough, but I don't think it's going to be for them. They're at home. I think Michigan is their biggest test for the rest of the year, and we know anything could happen there. Michigan's won 4 games in a row, so we'll see. But I think Ohio State has a very feasible pathway to winning the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, it's looking like either Ohio State or Oregon, right?
Yeah.
Like, unless something catastrophic happens at Oregon, or I mean, at Ohio State, I mean, you could have there in the teams are 2 or 3 injuries away from some, catastrophic things that could
Hmm.
really hurt their season. But I think that's probably the most likely 2 right now that it's looking like. Man, the SEC is so hard. I agree. Like, it would be really, really cool to see a team like Texas A&M actually go to the title game and win it, just because we're used to the same old. Like
Hmm.
usually Alabama or Georgia most of the time. So
Yep.
I'd like to
And
see
when not
somebody
them, it's
else in
always
there.
Oklahoma or Texas, right? I mean, it's always one of those four.
Yeah, and I mean there is just so many I think contenders as well that could potentially end up in that game. So I don't think that they're off on that one. I just think that one's very unpredictable to figure out,
Hmm.
like, who will actually, be there. ACC, I feel like Miami is most likely going to win it, obviously, I don't think there's a ton of competition there. I would like them to did have they played Georgia Tech, or did they play Georgia Tech this year? Do you know?
I can look really quickly. Let
I'm
me see.
curious because that's usually the game where it's like a big upset game that can happen to them.
No, I don't think they play them.
Ah, yeah, see, they're gonna get lucky this year.
They've run through all the Florida teams though. Like holy shit, they beat South Florida, Florida State, Florida. I mean,
Yeah.
they've been
Yeah, I mean, they really don't have
their schedule's
may
cake, honestly, for the rest of the year. It
I
looks super
mean,
easy.
maybe, it wasn't like is it Syracuse that upset them last year too? There was, like, definitely some random team that upset them. I feel like it was
I don't know.
Syracuse or I don't
Yeah,
know, some
Syracuse beat them last year 42 to
yeah,
38.
yeah, so there's always a chance that one of these random teams upsets them, you never know. But Big 12, I mean, Texas Tech has I don't wanna say been surprising, but definitely kinda came out of nowhere to be
Hmm.
almost like whoa, like this is kind of a scary team all of a
Yeah.
sudden. I know their competition's a little bit different in Big 12, but
They won that was it Utah they played against where that was the game they were the underdogs and
yeah,
they kind of won that game and haven't looked back, man. They've looked tough.
yeah. And I mean, Big 12, I mean, like you said, BYU is probably the only other person, and Arizona State that I would be, and I mean,
And
Iowa State,
Cincinnati's kind of on the bubble this year too a little bit.
yeah, Iowa State can be, and like I said, they can be one of those upset teams. I know you didn't like to call them that during that one game, but they're one of those teams to always look out for.
Yeah, until they just lost last week, man.
But Texas Tech has to play Arizona State in 2 weeks. They also still have to play Kansas State and BYU and UCF. So
Okay.
BYU and Arizona, I mean, they're going to have to run through both those teams. So we will really find out who's going to win this,
Yeah. That's fun, man.
essentially.
It's nice when they all play each other like that.
So, but yeah, so that's revisiting, kind of back to the future. So we will continue to monitor and we will bring up, I think, some of the other ones that we looked at, who made the playoff, who did it say, now who is it saying. I think it's kind of fun to just play around with Chat GPT and see kind of, how good is it?
Wild that two of those teams aren't even ranked anymore.
Yeah, I know. Pretty wild. But all right, you ready to move on to the next segment here?
Yes, sir. Let's hop into it.
Okay, so I'm actually going to let you lead this one because this was your concept you
Yeah, yeah.
brought, but NFL playoff picture so far. So I can show the image whenever you're ready, but lead
Yeah,
us
go
through
ahead
this
and pull
one.
it up. Yeah, if you want to
Okay.
pull it up. I just think as we were saying earlier, this has been a very unpredictable season for both college football and NFL. And as we show a graphic, this is not like after 1 or 2 weeks. This is after 5 weeks of football. We're looking at if the playoffs started today, what this would look like. And there are some surprises on this graphic. And so I thought it might be worth just having some dialogue about here. We're looking at the Indianapolis Colts being a 1 seed if the season ended today. The San Francisco 49ers being a 2 seed. Like these are not predictions people had in mind. The Jaguars making the playoffs, Tampa Bay being a 3 seed. Like this is just New England technically would have made the playoffs today. This is not really what was on our or other people's radars. You don't see the Ravens on here at all. There's no Ravens on here. Like what? In what world? So I thought it might be fun to just kind of talk about this and break this down a bit. But
Yeah.
Steve, on this list here, this is way too early to forecast, but from this list, who do you think on this list does not make the playoffs? And if you don't think that they make the playoffs, maybe who do you think might make it in their place?
Um let's see. I also don't see the Chiefs on this list.
They wouldn't make the playoffs if it ended today. As crazy as that is.
I mean, that's probably my first reaction is I'd probably replace the Patriots with the Chiefs. And I
Okay.
know that, whatever, they're off to a bad start or not a great start, but man, they always find a way. They have good coaching, good players. I don't know what
Hmm.
it is about them, but somehow they will find a way back to the playoffs. So that would probably be my first reaction is most likely probably the Chiefs for the Patriots is who I would swap from the AFC. From the NFC, um I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't know that any of the NFC teams are a surprise. Maybe San Francisco being a 2 is a
Well, let me
little
ask you
higher
this. Let me
than
ask
what
you
I
this.
thought.
In addition to San Francisco being a two, we have the Seahawks and the 49ers in here, but not the Rams. Is that a surprise?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to swap one, it would probably be Seahawks for Rams. If I had to
Okay.
swap one on here, that's probably the one that I would swap.
And you like having the three teams from the NFC North, the Lions, Packers, and Vikings all in?
I don't know about the Vikings. I mean, some of this again, I think we talked about like I don't think they're a bad team, but some of it depends on JJ. Like he got hurt. I think he played well in the beginning. I don't think it is necessarily like, oh wow, they're gonna be horrible, but some of it will depend on his health. Does he continue to play well? So that they could be a bubble team.
Yeah.
That would be another one I'd maybe consider bumping.
Okay. And Carson Wentz has looked okay. He's come in and done some Carson Wentz things. He hasn't been a standout, but he's getting the job done.
Yeah, for sure.
Last second touchdown win the game over in London this weekend. That helps. That helps
Yeah.
this whole standings a lot.
Yep.
I think one of the craziest things for me here is you got the Chargers in here. They've lost 2 games in a row and they're still sitting as a 4 seed after only 5 weeks of football. And it just tells you how good their first 3 weeks were.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with the AFC as well. And I, it sounds insane to say this. I think you switch out the Steelers for the Ravens. I genuinely feel like if all else is the same, the Steelers are only beating the Ravens by 2 wins right now. They play each other twice. If the Ravens win both of those games, then they're on this and the Steelers are not. When Lamar gets healthy, I think that they will win football games, but they are going to have a big hill to climb. It's just too early for me to count them out, especially with how weak that division is. I don't think the
Yeah.
Steelers are that strong of a team. I think they will leave the window open for the Ravens to crawl back. I don't know that Ravens could even make a wild card spot, but I do think they could win their division. I think that's such a weird concept, but that's how I feel. The other thing here, man, I'm just not sold on the Jaguars at all. I could see them having a colossal meltdown and then the Chiefs sneaking in as well. So like there's a lot
Yeah.
of things that I think could happen here, but
Yep.
I like the Patriots team. I like to root for them. They're a young team with a lot of hunger, but they could also fall off pretty quickly here. They're 3-2, in
Yeah.
week 5.
Yep.
On the NFC side of things, I think the Rams definitely make the playoffs this year. I don't care who gets kicked out for them. I think the Rams win their division. Even though they lost to the 49ers, I think they'll come back and win the division. So 49ers become a wild card team there, in my opinion. And honestly, the rest of this looks okay to me. I kind of like the rest of it. I think you bump out the Seahawks, bump 49ers to a wild card and put the Rams in. And that's what I think we'll see here.
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, it's only been 5 weeks and there's been a lot of upsets. So very hard to say, but I want to follow up here. Let's ignore everything we just said. If this was the actual playoffs, who do you think wins the conferences and who do you think wins the Super Bowl?
Um, I think it'd probably be the Bills in the AFC on this list. And the NFC is tough. I mean, I don't know, man. I want the Lions to win, but also Green Bay looks pretty reasonable, but also the Eagles are still good, but they can't throw the ball. Give me the Lions. I'm just going to go with the hometown favorite. I could see a lot of teams in the NFC from this list winning it, but I think the Lions are the real deal again. I think they just had a weird slow start that first game.
That would be my exact pick, but to be different, I don't want to pick the same 2 teams as you. So I'll pick 2 different teams. And this might sound crazy. Give me the Broncos and the Bucks. Those are my 2 runner-ups for those conferences.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins the Super Bowl on this whole roster here, this team lineup?
I got to stick with the Bills. That was my preseason pick. So,
I'm going to go with what I want to happen instead of what I initially said, and I'm also going to say the Bills because that is who I wanted to win. I just felt like the Ravens might be their year, and now I think that maybe it's the Bills' time. Who knows?
yeah, for sure.
Okay,
Sweet.
well, thank you for indulging. It's kind of crazy to look, but we're a third of the way through the season almost. So
Yeah, no problem. Let me get out of the screen real quick. So that was NFL playoff picture so far. Last one I have here, Scott, is a new segment that we have not tried, but I know we've kind of put on our list of things to try. But this one's going to be called Headline Hijack. So
okay,
essentially, what's going to happen is I'm going to read, I have 6 different headlines for you. There's all sports related. You
okay,
have to guess if it's real or fake and kind of walk me through why you think it doesn't even have to make sense of why you think it's real or fake, but just walk me through your initial reaction of why you think it's either real or fake. And then I'll reveal to people if it's real or fake. So let's do the first one here. All right. So parent of UNC player accuses Bill Belichick program of toxic environment.
this is so funny for reasons, but I don't know, man. The way that his girlfriend is involved on the sidelines and all up in his business all the time, I could see this being real. I'm gonna say it's real.
Final answer?
Yes.
All right. Well, I'll do a screen share here to show you whether it's real or fake so that you know.
Okay. All right.
All righty.
I'm ready. Yep. Let's get it.
It is
Real.
real. It is
Okay.
from the New York Times with all these toxic Amazon Prime things. It is a real it is a real article on here. And so there's actually an interview. I didn't watch it, but there's an interview with the guy, the parent or whatever you want to call it, who talks about it. He just,
Okay.
I think, talks about how he said there's an individualistic mindset. Um, he talked about how, the team is off to a poor start. There's a divided locker room. The coaching staff's disorganized. They fail to communicate. So there's all sorts of stuff in here. So if people are
Yeah.
interested, they can take a look at that.
It's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
All right. Next one is Tokyo Olympics 2032 to feature drone racing as a new medal sport.
I really hope not, man. I'm gonna say this is fake because what the hell? No, that sounds horrible. Fake. Fake. I don't want to watch this.
Final answer.
Final answer. Fake.
And let me show you here. It's fake.
Okay. Thank
There's
God.
nothing to show. I just had to act like there was something. All right. Headline number 3. Wimbledon to allow tennis fans to bet live from seats in 2026.
Fake. I don't think so. I mean, things are changing in sports, but I think there's a lot more decorum in Wimbledon.
Are you sure?
Well, I guess it'd be hard to manage what people are doing on their cell phones, but I'm gonna stick with what I said anyway.
And this one, give me 1 second here, is fake.
Okay. Okay.
Fake
Good.
news. Fake
Good.
news. All right. Next one we have delusional leader. Battle lines drawn as Sophie Cunningham joins Angel Reese and $2 billion WNBA Civil War goes nuclear.
That's a lot. That's a mouthful. Um, Oddly specific, but also I feel like both of these people are really big in the headlines right now. I'm gonna say it's real.
After all the stuff that's listed in there, you think that's real?
This sounds like it sounds dumb enough that it's an actual headline. Yes.
It is
Okay.
real, Scott. Talksports.com has some very interesting photos of
Yeah. What
either
is
of
going
these.
on?
Yeah, so essentially it's I don't know. I can't really give you all the details here, but basically there's some interesting information in here about basically what it says that they're in a crisis and there's some issues happening. There's a civil war that's happening in the WNBA.
Okay, then.
So that's all I'll
Yo,
share. If
Sophie
people are
Cunningham sure has gained some popularity this year.
interested, wow, the throwing of things. All right. Next one. Travis Hunter and his mother make headlines on and off the field with new inspiring career.
I don't know, man. This sounds like something that could happen with Travis Hunter, but I'm just going to say this is fake because I haven't heard it. I don't know. He's
Does
too
it
busy making
sound
commercials with Trevor Lawrence.
does it sound too generic?
I'm going to say it's fake. We're just going to say it's fake.
Are you sure?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure, but I'm going to make that my answer. Yes.
Well, Scott, according to
Of course. It's real. Of
the
course it is.
Times of India.
What? The Times of
Yep.
India?
The Times of India is a real thing. So it says his mom steps into public life with faith-driven platform. So
Huh.
there's like a Instagram post about it, and you can continue reading. I don't want to click on this because there's like a million ads in here. But yeah,
Well,
it sounds generic, but it's real. Real
honestly, if,
is
if it was anybody in the whole NFL, it would be Travis Hunter. It sounds right.
yeah, yeah. All right, last one here. Tiger Woods in serious contention to be captain for Ryder Cup 2027 as the U.S. struggles to win on home turf.
Well, this is a weird one. I do think that there is contention for Tiger Woods to become a Ryder Cup captain, and I feel like I want it to be in 2027, but 2027 isn't even on home turf. So I don't know if this is written in a way where it's like, well, we need to win on their turf because we didn't win on ours. I'm just going to say it's real.
Oh
I
no,
hope.
sorry. You're hearing how I read it, or maybe I said it the wrong way. It's saying as U.S. struggles to win on home turf, like this past year they struggled to win on the home turf.
Okay. I
That's
still don't
that's
really feel how that's relevant in the
yeah.
headline, but I will say that it's real. I think so. I hope it is. I hope it. That'd be really fun.
So it's fake, but the headline is fake. Let's put it that way. It's made up. But I will show that there is an article that did
Oh,
come out in October 1st that's saying he must be the first choice as the captain in 2027. So it's based on a true story, Scott. Let's put it that way. It's not a
we'll
real
take it.
headline, but it's based on a true story.
That's
So
still a win in my book. We'll take it.
yeah, there is some discussions about it happening. So that is the headline hijack, Scott.
I like it. I like it. I did all right at that. I definitely didn't get the Travis Hunter one, but well, or the Tiger Woods one, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's fair. You can't win them all. All right, it is time for the halftime pour. So we'll take a second to share with you what we've been drinking, tell you a little bit about bourbon. Obviously, Single Barrel Sports. We have the barrel there for the bourbon, as you can see the bottles in the background. So, Scott, what you drinking tonight?
An oldie but goodie, man. I once again don't have anything new. Last week I killed my Bardstown bottle. This is my Rabbit Hill Cave Hill. I've had this on the podcast a few times, so I'll be very brief about this. But if you guys have never had this one, it's aged 4 years. It is about $60 retail. It's got kind of a cereal taste almost, like Cheerios, honey, light oak, maybe a little bit of mint even. And it's got kind of a fruitier smell. I mean, obviously, bourbon has kind of a burn to the taste and smell a little bit, but once you get comfortable with that, it smells a little bit like honey, apple, almost corn. Very tasty. $60, not too hard to find. Very delicious. I like this one a lot. I gave it an 84 out of 100.
Nice. I have some new debut here. I think I've had it before.
Ooh.
I've had this on the pod before, but debut in terms of our new style. So it's a Rebel Stave Finish Collection single barrel pick, and I'll show you the back. So there is actually a sticker on here. It's kind of hard to see. Trying to get it into frame there. So that sticker is special, Scott. It's from the Pharmacy Bourbon Society. So
Okay, hell
in
yeah.
the work that I do, there's a group of people throughout the country that kind of come together and try to pick barrels and you know create basically their own picks of bottles. So I got it from them. 7 years. It is a caramel honey stave finish from Lux Row in Bardstown. I think it was about like 60 or $65. Obviously, I had to get it to me, so gotta pay a little bit for that. 110 proof, so a little bit on the spicier side of things. Um, I gave it a 79 overall, which is actually probably one of the lower end scores. And it's not that I don't like it, but it's a hotter bourbon, and it's not like one that I'm not as big of a fan of spicier bourbons unless they have like a ton of flavor, like
Hmm.
Jack Daniel's rye that's really really hot but has a ton of flavor to it. So this one, it definitely drinks true to kind of what it's described as. So definitely that honey and caramel sticks out, but it's just a little bit hot for me. Like when I drink it, it's almost like a barrel proof in a weird way. That's kind of what it reminds me of. Some people might really like that. So
Hmm.
um, smell again similar. I get honey. I get a little bit of sweetness, but nothing like too stand out. I think it's a great bottle. I'm glad to have it, but not necessarily my quote unquote forte or style of what I usually drink. So I like to pull it out here and there.
Hell yeah. Okay. Well,
And I think we got a question of the week, right?
we do. It is. What is the most overhyped storyline in sports right now?
Ooh, this is tough, man, because there's a lot of random things that have happened in sports. I would say the most overhyped storyline right now would be I'm trying to think of I'm trying to even reach outside of like NFL or college football if possible because I know we talked about those a lot. I mean, is it weird to say that it's has to do with is it would it be weird to say that it would have to do with LeBron James and his final season? Because I feel
No.
like, I mean, other than the video, I know that we talked about that earlier. I feel like I hear a ton of people just talking about that in general. Like, when you turn on like Sports Center, ESPN, etc. I know NBA is kind of just starting to kickstart as well. Um, I'm not saying it's not an important story, but it's kind of one of those where it's like he's going to tell you, when it's his last season, and so I just think they like focus a lot on it of like just media coverage.
I think that for a different reason, I think that the stupid announcement he did today was the most overhyped thing that I've seen in a very long time. That actually it made me so angry, as we've talked about. But I'll reference something else that we talked about also on the podcast, and I think it was the trade from Joe Flacco going to the Bengals. I think that's a stupid ass decision. I don't think it's going to change anything, and I just like what an anticlimactic trade for them to make in a situation where they could make a change. That's the change they chose. I just don't get it at all.
Yeah, that's completely fair. All right. Community call outs for this week. We don't have anything very specific. I actually wanted to kind of rewind because I don't know that we necessarily did this, but we had a couple of clips a few weeks ago, two of them on TikTok, one relating to it was like a Penn State and Oregon one where I think you had mentioned stuff about Ohio State within the clip. And then there was also a Ryder Cup. It was talking about like who cares more from our Ryder Cup special, it was US or
Hmm.
Europe. And both of those clips just blew the hell up on TikTok. I mean, by far just had the most views. I mean, the one had was it like 1,000 comments or something? Like it was
Way more than
something
that, yeah.
unreal where for us, in our size and platform, like I just took a look at it and I was overwhelmed. I was like, I don't know how pages that have this much traction do this on a daily basis with their videos, but I think is number one just to recognize all the people out there who commented and took time to watch or comment on those clips because number one, there was fans and haters, right? We had people on both
Mhm.
sides. And so, Scott, do you want to talk a little bit about that too?
Yeah, and I think it makes sense because I think, especially with the clip where I talked about Ohio State, it was me kind of doing the talking in that one. But all along, we have always said that we appreciate any comments, any engagement, whether it's you agree with us or you disagree with us. And that was the realest moment that we've had as a podcast to really engage with people who didn't agree with our stance. And especially after I made a very strong prediction and the team I predicted to win lost, there were a lot of people who had a lot of things to say. And honestly, that's why we do this. I am thankful. 1,455 comments on that post. And I was thankful and happy to reply to as many of them as possible to acknowledge that I was wrong and appreciate the opinion and the thoughts that were contributed by others. Listen, guys, I am a Michigan fan. I don't root for Ohio State. I'm very vocal about that. I got it wrong about Penn State this year, and I will admit that. And so, if anyone here is watching that is an Ohio State fan, I was wrong. I actually think you guys will win the conference championship now and still go blue. And thank you for commenting because it was fun. And for those that commented on the golf video, especially, that was a brand new demographic for us. We never engage with European sports fans. So it was very fun to kind of pick your brains, to ask some questions, to learn more about sports in a different continent, let alone country. And yeah, talk your shit. You guys beat us. You deserve to talk your shit. But it was a lot of fun to talk with you. So thank you guys for that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was, I was seeing a lot of this too when I was on vacation. And I remember texting you and I was like, dude, I don't know what is happening, but this is just wild. I just every time I look at my phone, I just be like, why is there's more comments? What is happening? Like is there like bots or something attacking us? It
It
was
was so many comments that I couldn't reply to them all because TikTok was like, you've reached your limit. Like it was like stopping me from even being able to reply back to people.
yeah, which is understandable. I mean, there was an overflow of things, but that's our community call out for the week, but it's time to make some picks, Scott.
Oh boy. Co-
So,
College football has not been my forte. I'm 8-12 so far this year when betting with the spread. You're
yeah, and
11 and 9. You're doing all
11
right.
and 9, which not bad. I like to be a little bit more comfortable in terms of like being close to 500, but I'll take it for now. But we got our game day style picks. So we have 4 games as per usual. So let's run through these, Scott. So number one, we have number 6, Oklahoma at Texas. Texas, from what I saw, well, hold on. I got to check this odds because I thought I saw that Texas somehow was favored, but
They
let me
are.
make sure. Okay, they're still favored.
Yep.
So Texas is 2.5 minus 2.5 favorites. Who do you have in this one?
For me, it comes down to whether or not Mateer plays. He's pushing to try and play this week. There's a chance he plays. I'm going Oklahoma here. I just don't think Texas is who we thought they were. They are at home, but Oklahoma looks good. When Mateer's playing, they look amazing. So I'm going with Oklahoma. They only have to win by 3. I think they can pull that off.
Oh man, this one's tough. In a weird way, I think Texas could pull this off, but I have to go with Oklahoma. I think it's just they're a better team. They're the better team. So it will be a big win for them on the road, but I have to go with them. We have number 8 Alabama at your boys, number 14 Mizzou. Alabama is minus 2.5. Who do you have?
Listen, I grew up in Missouri. Got a lot of love for Mizzou. It's been really great that they've been better at football recently, but I'm taking Alabama all day. If the spread's 2.5, I think Bama wins this game by at least a field goal for sure.
I also am going to pick Bama. I'm going to be a fair weather guy, but I think they do look pretty good. It's going to be tough though to play at Mizzou. I think it comes down to maybe 7 points if I have to guess with Bama winning. All right. Number 1 Ohio State at number 17 Illinois. I think some of your buddies might, say who they think would win this game, but Ohio State's minus 14.5 to win this game. So what do you think?
14.5 on the road is tough. I think Ohio State is that team. Um, but every time that I've bet and given away that many points, I've lost. So I'm going to take the underdog here. I do think Illinois loses, but I hope it's by less than 14 and a half.
I also do not like this spread. I think we're going to find out if Illinois is a reasonable team or not. I hope Illinois wins. I don't think that they do, but give me them for the spread in this case as well.
Okay.
And Scott, we have the game of the week. Game day is here. It's in Autzen, the best stadium in the whole country. We have number 7 Indiana at number 3 Oregon. Oregon is minus 7.5. Who do you have in the big game this week?
I hate that it's 7.5. I wish it was 6.5. But I'm gonna go with Oregon, man. I do think that Indiana could be that good. They smashed Illinois recently, but Oregon is the team we know. It's the team I know that has been consistent over the years, and in the big moments, sometimes they do come down to earth a little bit. But I was wrong last time I bet against them, so I'm gonna ride with them this time.
Well, you know me. I'm going to pick Indiana here, mainly because of the spread. I think it may be a tighter game. Could be a 7-point game. Could be a three
Hmm.
point game. Something like that. If it is a tight game, I secretly think Oregon's going to blow them out. But I'm going to pick Indiana on the pod for this purposes because of the spread. So we'll see where it takes us.
Okay.
All right, you want to do the NFL ones?
Yeah, let's hop in here. We got 4 games for the NFL as well. So we'll start with Bears at the Commanders. Commanders 4.5 point favorites. Jaden Daniels is back. Who you got?
Well, I was going to say it depends on his status, and with that, give me the Commanders.
I want to do the same. Go with the Commanders as well. 4.5 at home. I think they got that.
All right,
Next
what
one
do you got
here,
next?
Bills at the Falcons. Bills minus 3.5 as the away team here. Who you got?
I like the Bills. I mean, they're just good. 3.5's reasonable.
Yeah, Bills for sure. All day long. I put a lot of money on that, actually. Even though they just lost, which surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Browns at the Steelers. Steelers 4.5 point favorites. Who you got there?
Give me the Browns with the upset this week.
Okay. Listen, the Browns defense is legit. I don't want to be like you, but I'm going to also take the Browns. Steelers could
Well,
still win, but I think this game stays tight. The Browns just like they're 1-4, but they could beat anybody. They beat the Packers for God's sakes. I mean, they almost beat the Vikings last week.
yeah, they're in every game.
Okay, and lastly is our game of the week. And if I'm correct, these are both 4-1 teams, I think. The Bucks versus the 49ers. They're both 4-1. It's at Tampa Bay, and the Bucks are 2.5 point favorites. Who you got there?
I like the Bucks. I think they have a home field advantage. They've been playing pretty well. 49ers are banged up. I mean, Mac Jones has been doing reasonable, but give me the Bucks.
Give me the Bucks -7. Don't actually do that. Give me the 2.5. But I think this is one of my more confident bets here. They're at home. Baker Mayfield is that dude. Even if they're losing, you just never count them out. The Bucks are banged up, and I trust that the Niners are banged up, and I trust that the Bucks won't make stupid decisions like the Rams did in a game that they should have won.
All right. Well, there'll be one game that separates us this coming week, so I don't think that's ever happened. So we'll have to see how it goes, Scott. Either we're both going to be happy or sad this coming week with our.
Yeah, that's fair. I love to go against you, D, but I think you did good this week at choosing at least in the NFL.
Yeah, well, my NFL has been struggling 4-4 so far, so I need some secure wins here. 2-minute warning. Got some fun questions to ask for this. So you want to ask the first one, Scott? You want me to ask?
Yeah, I can go ahead and ask the first one.
All right, whenever you're ready.
All right, here we go. Would you rather shank a tee shot at Augusta that hits Jim Nance or bean shack with a first pitch in a baseball game?
Well, shaking a tee shot at Augusta's more likely, but I'd feel really bad if it hit somebody. So I'd probably throw a ball at Shaq. He's pretty big. He could
Okay.
take it.
All right.
Um, would you rather be mic'd up and forget forget it after a bad call or accidentally high five the ref?
Ooh. Both of these are embarrassing. I think I might rather accidentally high five the ref because it would be funnier and less of a shameful, less embarrassing. I don't know. That's tough. Would you rather have Stephen A. Smith scream your name for a week or be roasted by Charles Barkley forever?
Well, if I get roasted by Charles Barkley forever, I'd probably be famous at that point. People would know who I was. So I'd probably pick that one for the free marketing, to be fair.
Okay, reasonable.
Would you rather be tackled by your ex or coached by your mother?
That bizarre question. um, my mom's cool, man. I think I'd rather be coached by my mother. I don't need my exes tackling me. No thanks.
That's fair.
Would you rather miss a game-winning field goal by 1 inch or fumble on the 1 yard line with nobody near you?
Definitely missed a field goal because fumbling with no one near me would be horrible. That's yeah, not fun. Would you rather have Gronk as your financial advisor or Dennis Rodman as your life coach?
Ooh, give me Gronk as the financial advisor. It would be very stupid living, but it would be a lot of fun. And I think the other would be stupid too, but Gronk would be a little bit more fun. Would you rather play 18 holes hungover with John Daly or play sober 18 holes with Bryson DeChambeau?
Ooh, that is really tough because I would want to play I want to play golf with both of them if I could, but probably sober with Bryson because I would just want to like learn from him. Like hungover with John Daly would be really fun, but you'd be hungover, so you just feel like shit. Sober with Bryson, hopefully just be able to learn from him. So
Bryson's a cool dude, man. I feel like he gets a lot of shit because he plays in live, but he's a vocal guy, but he seems like a cool guy. I don't know. He seems likable.
yeah, for sure. All right, Scott. Well, it's the last call where just like at the bar and they kick you out and it's ready time to go, it's time for us to tell everybody goodbye. So what do you have for your last call?
I just want to welcome you back, Deeb. I know that you've had some travels lately and had some great time to enjoy. I know some has been work, some has been fun, but happy to have you back, man. Obviously, always enjoy things when you're around, and it makes the podcast feel more like the Single Barrel Sports Podcast when you're here. So, welcome back, man. Happy to have you, and just thanks for putting the show together. I know you did a lot of the work tonight, so appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. It's good to be back. I just want to also take some time to say thank you. I know, it's a lot to cover when I'm out and stuff. So thanks for having on some really great guests. I think you guys had some phenomenal conversations. You're able to take things, kind of in a different direction and talk about topics that like we talk about, but more focused in on stuff like fantasy and stuff like that. So appreciate you for doing that. And yeah, I think just, thanks for also just covering all the stuff with the comments and all the stuff on the clips because man, when I saw there was like 1,000 comments on that clip and I saw you were like responding to many of them, I'm like, holy crap, dude. I was like, I don't even know where to start with this. So appreciate you for owning up to, your take that people were kind of dunking on you for. And, that's not an easy thing to do publicly. So appreciate you for that as well.
I had to put my money where my mouth is, man. I've always said, give us your roast us if you want to. And so who would I be if I told people to roast me, but then didn't actually engage with them when they did? So, it is what it is.
For sure. Well, until next week, friends, all I got to say next is cheers.